Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Jill Sackman. She's a board certified veterinary behaviorist and also a student of mine. So I'm super excited to have Jill here. And we're just going to talk a little bit about pure liberty, because you've been studying pure liberty for a while now. And I was really interested in how it's woven into your work, because I know when we're in the lovely pure liberty study bubble, it's all very unicorns and rainbows and it's so lovely and the connection's beautiful, but does it still cross over for you going out into the real world with your riding? And I know you carriage drive and you do a lot of behaviorism. Does it cross over for you?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's all about observational skills. So as kind of wearing my veterinary behavior hat, I do a lot of work across other species, but I was really looking for a way to apply more of understanding of equine day-to-day body language and how they process information and how they see their world and how they interact with us to apply to, I'll just be say kind of personally, my riding and interaction with horses, then of course could apply to the work I do with other people and their animals. And it was phenomenally eye-opening. So as a behaviorist, veterinary behaviorist, I'm often called to help people with problems that have at core due to management issues, frankly, a whole nother conversation, but not so much to come out and help people build relationship with their horses. And I think that when I look at humans' interaction with horses, and frankly, I'll just say my own interaction with my horses, and I'm a lifelong rider and driver and horse owner, horse, um, enthusiast, or I love the species, that we are very focused on what they can do for us. let's get on and go riding, right? And this was a step back and really doing more observation and relationship building, which was just a phenomenal experience.
I love that. Yeah, it all comes back to the relationship, doesn't it? It doesn't really matter what we do with our horses. It's how well the trust bond is there, the friendship bond, and you nailed it with observation. How well do we really know them? And by having those observation skills that we learn in the Pure Liberty program, you then see the trust of the horse, the way they look at you, build so easily,
Mhm.
so easily. And you think, wow, and it still blows me away in my own relationship with my horses. I practice pure liberty right alongside with all of my students. And yeah, but it's interesting to me how it crosses over. I know that I can build my students' relationships with their horses and get them a bond that they never knew existed. But I love when it can then go outside of the field, outside of the arena, and into the real life with horses when we're riding, showing. I have students that show. So how would you say Pure Liberty's helped you with your driving? I find that interesting.
Well, I think it's reading the willingness to go forward, their willingness to explore new environments, or their comfort level in new environments. Um, I feel like with driving, you're farther removed than when you're riding. I learned how to drive later in life, because I'd always been a rider, and you have to learn so much through the feel of the reins, the body language, and in some ways I think it's almost more important, your ability to read body language and their interest in the environment and going forward, because you are further removed, and frankly I think in a more dangerous position, having been thrown from a carriage and had a concussion, a more dangerous position if you're not reading body language. So the other is just getting a horse comfortable for wearing harness and getting comfortable with wearing blinkers. And you're putting them in a relatively vulnerable position. So
Sure.
getting a youngster or a horse new to driving comfortable with that and taking slow steps. And I think if I had understood better the things I learned in Pure Liberty 20 years ago, I wouldn't have had the bolt and run with the carriage and being thrown from the carriage, because I would have understood what was going on cognitively, mentally, emotionally in my horse better.
For sure. That's the key to all of this, isn't it? It's not about equipment or lack of equipment. Yes, in Pure Liberty, we're working mostly without equipment, but we do
Yeah.
fully endorse people keeping their halter and lead line on, tacking up and going riding, harnessing up and driving. But there is no better way to be with your horse than with a deeper level of trust. So would you say in your Pure Liberty journey, your relationship with your horses has become deeper?
Oh my gosh, yes. To go back to a comment you made earlier, it's how I guess willing to trust and forgive. I felt that one of my horses, he's in his late 20s, he was a carriage horse. I then moved over to over to dressage. And he retired as a Grand Prix pony. He's a Morgan Welsh cross. And I felt like much of his life, and I never intentionally used adversive. I think we go down a pathway because people around us tell us that's what we should do, and we become really unduly influenced by that. And
Yeah.
so when I started your course, I was working primarily with this horse, and I wondered, would he be open to relationship with me, understanding our long history together, over 20 years together. And I was blown away by how quickly how good our relationship already was when I started using
Great.
the insights from your course. So it was eye-opening, and was kind of like almost teary-eyed that he really did already trust me. But then how much more he was willing to open up. So things like coming just by and saying, we're not going riding today. We're not doing this today. We're just going to hang out today. Maybe I'm going to do a little massage today. Maybe we're going to do just a little relaxation techniques today. And that just completely shifted our relationship. So that does have a huge impact then on when you do want to ride, or when you do want to have an ask for your horse. And it makes complete sense. Would we do that to a human friend? Would it always be ask, 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 ask? No, it should be a give and take. And I think when people start to look at their relationship with their horse that way, that it is a friendship and a relationship. And honestly, they're big creatures. We can't force them to do sometimes the tools and the techniques that can be applied to force a horse into that position. Not only are they many times punishing and cruel, I think they give people a false sense of security, because if that
Absolutely.
animal wanted to escape, and this happens a lot on the veterinary side, there are injuries to veterinarians, and there's some great studies out of the UK actually for British veterinarians. The injury rate around horses is
Oh,
quite high.
that does
And
not surprise me in the least.
and I think it's because people think they can muscle a horse into position. Well, as soon as you realize they're a fight or flight animal, you start to realize 1,000 pounds behind, I got to get out of here, is very dangerous. So
Absolutely.
anyway,
Absolutely.
we got it. I really feel like we're at a point in our evolution and understanding relationship with horses can improve, whether it's veterinary care, whether it's
Yeah.
your relationship in riding, whether it's just, day-to-day management and maintenance and compliance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my hope was for Pure Liberty, that it could filter into every area of the equine world. It's not about those of us that do liberty, or those of us that endurance ride, or those of us that show or drive. It's not a them and us situation. We all love horses, and the more friendship and understanding and trust we can offer our horse, and it's a two-way street. And when they see that we're starting to notice and behave differently, like we learn in Pure Liberty, the whole relationship changes. And I love how you touched on the fact that you had a horse of 20 years who perhaps you weren't sure. They're always waiting for us. I do believe that everything can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think somewhat far more forgiving than people are.
Oh yeah.
And I'm excited to be starting this journey with a 2-year-old filly that I have. And
Great.
so we're starting from the beginning using these techniques.
Beautiful.
And because she's in an age I'm not riding her yet, I want to build relationship and trust. And I realize how much we typically pull horses through things they need to investigate, they need to
Yeah.
learn, they need to be curious. We need to read their body language when they're doing
Yes.
that. They're not being naughty. They need to explore their environment. And I have found this orientation to environment that you teach in your course really,
Yeah.
really helpful with her, because
Great.
when she sees something moving and I look with her too, or we go back to grazing together, I see the relaxation that comes from that.
Yeah.
And also just being able to explore the environment together. I wanted to
It's
share with
huge.
you one just it was just so fun to watch her. We at the time I'd only known her, she'd just come to my farm and we'd been together a few weeks, and I was exploring her paddock with her, and I went over to her water trough and I just started flipping water around in it and going like, I wonder what's in here, kind of like you do in Pure Liberty. And she came over and she looked, and then she took her lips and she started to do the same flipping of the water with me together. And I just went like, oh my God, this is too
Yeah.
much. So it sent me down into
Amazing.
veterinary behaviors, and I'm kind of a knowledge, I love this, I'm geeky about this stuff. I started to really dig into how much social
Oh,
observational learning that horses do, even cross
huge.
species.
Yeah.
And
Huge.
you cannot disrupt the strength, I think, of that relationship building. That will translate
Absolutely.
into me getting on her back eventually, because we
For
have
sure.
an understanding. But anyway, I had to share
Yeah.
that with you. It was
I
just so
love that. And it's what takes our horses from being that old label of the beast of burden
cool.
to
Mhm.
being our close friends.
Yeah, that's right.
And we can be friends cross species. And if I'm climbing on the back of a horse at any point, I want that horse to be my friend. And I want them to know when I'm getting up there that I am not going to take away their dignity. It makes me teary. I'm not going to take away their dignity. I am not going to force them. But the piece that people don't realize is when you study this and go through the program, all the no's that you've been encountering for years, that you've had to use all this equipment and force, they dissolve away. And the horse is like, well, if you think it's okay, I'm good, because they know you're not going to take them too far. And
Yeah,
that's what I love about it. Yeah,
me too. That's
love
phenomenal.
it.
That's a something
Thank
so good.
you.
So much more. Well, it's
Yeah,
been a delight to be here with you, Andrea. I love your work.
thank
Um,
you.
I feel like it can be such a stepping stone or an addition to any work people are doing with horses, whether it's a horse you enjoy trail riding, your performance level, whether you are competing, whatever you're doing, this opens up a whole new depth of relationship.
Thank you so much. And I'm really honored to have you as a student and a friend. So thank you so, so much, Dr. Sackman. And we will be back with you because I think we have more to talk about. So interesting.
I'd be delighted, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.